Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
Baseball might be dead because the Los Angeles Dodgers have won the World Series.
Pitch to the back, over to first to beat the champ. You gotta knock him out. The Dodgers stand tall and win back-to-back titles.
Man, in this playoff run, it's like, obviously I'm a Red Sox fan. Jay Hay is more neutral, but has a Guardians fandom, and Dallas is the heart and soul of the A's fan base. So like, we don't have a dog in the fight. But I think if we're all being honest with each other, obviously there's not like a 50-50 or unbiased, I guess, viewing experience for us. At least for me, I'll speak for myself here. I don't hate the Dodgers like people hate the Dodgers. I don't hate them, but I didn't want to see them win the World Series. I did want to see the Blue Jays win the World Series. It would have been completely different for me if the Dodgers just snuffed them out and won this in 5 games. Then it's like, all right, yeah, like we can talk about how great the Dodgers are, but the Blue Jays were 2 outs away from winning this World Series in an epic 7-game battle that went into extra innings in the 7th game. There's much to discuss, I guess, about just Game 7 in and of itself. We can talk about the series, how great it was, the seasons. We can put a bow on all of it. But just like letting you know up front, if you didn't already understand, like my emotions in watching the final out, I wanted the Jays to win. I didn't want to see the Dodgers win again. But in saying that, I can still sit here and say it's impressive that for all the expectations that the Dodgers had coming into this year, you can spend the money all you want. It's like, it's not like the number 1 payroll in baseball wins the World Series every year. You still have to play the games. But you heard Miggy Rowe talk about it after the game when they won. He's like, we started the season in Japan, and like and I think after last postseason, we all kind of wanted to see, would there be a World Series hangover? We haven't had a back-to-back World Series champion since 1999-2000. I think the reason for that, it's 162 games. Then you have to go, well, first of all, it's spring training, which all the players complain is too long. Then it's 162 games. Then it's a month long of postseason games. And at this point in baseball, there's never been more rounds, more postseason games played. So the demand on an athlete's body, a baseball player's body, to be able to go back to back, which it is essentially the same core. You have to be impressed by it. I'm not, well, whatever. If you're not, you're not. But I'm impressed by it. So that has to be acknowledged. Like I'm impressed by what the Dodgers were able to do this postseason. It was not an easy fight for them in this World Series. Like it's. Yeah, I don't know. I just I thought once the Blue Jays had gotten into the red zone there with a lead, I didn't believe that they would relinquish it. Not at home, not after the way that the series has played out, not after they've kind of just been that team that's been punched in the mouth and gotten back up and punched in the mouth and gotten back up. The Miggy Rowe home run in the 9th to tie it. It's like you just got punched in the mouth, but here come the Jays. Like they're the team that's going to get back up and they'll still be victorious in the end. So yeah, admittedly for me, it felt anticlimactic, but I'm not a Dodger hater. I'm still impressed by it. It just wasn't the team that I wanted to see win.
And don't let that be the reason that it's anticlimactic for you, because there was so much energy throughout this entire game. Throughout the moment, man. I mean, this is the back in the 4th. And I think for Joe Davis's call at the end of the game, the idea of having to finish the job, and that's almost, when you look back, what you see is a team that wasn't able to finish the job. They had left themselves vulnerable multiple times, but had done a good job and shown resilience of getting back up. But this last time, they just could not. They ran out of time. It's a 7-game series, not an 8-game series. But how we got here, the path to this point was filled with so many big moments, and it was filled with great baseball. There were lapses at times, but I think it was just a matter of a combination of great baseball IQ, wanting to be aggressive and make plays happen in the moment. I talked about teams capitalizing on moments like that and executing in moments like that. That's the give and take of trying to make something happen. But what we saw on the mound, a heroic performance from Yamamoto throughout this series, that was absolutely ridiculous. Jay, hey, you said it, what, dude? One other time in baseball it's happened? His performance where guys started and then closed the game out the next day?
Yeah, and
Game 7?
Yep, and the bulk of his entire work over the postseason in the World Series with 5 wins and 3 wins in the World Series. It's just him and Randy. Like it's, I think it's as much as you can put on one pitcher's back in the modern game and have him do it.
Yamamoto this postseason, 37 1/3 innings, 23 hits, 6 earned runs allowed, 6 walks, 33 punch outs, did give up 2 homers, 1.45 ERA. Opponents hit 174 against Yamamoto. He was efficient. He threw less than 15 pitches an inning, right at 14 pitches per inning, which when you think about his availability and his ability to finish ball games the way he did, and then basically as you're petering out throughout the latter part, the very last part of the season, you put together your best and strongest performances. And in the game's biggest moments, you were there. And you were a massive part of why you got there. Like Yamamoto, as deserving of the MVP as ever has been in a World Series.
Highest paid pitcher in baseball history, and went out there and dominated through back-to-back complete games in the playoffs, one of which was in the World Series, then came back and threw 6 dominant, and then came back 24 hours later and pitched, 3 innings?
Yeah, that's 9
in
innings
Game 7?
9 innings in 2 days.
9 innings in 24 hours. So it's basically another complete game.
Come and get it.
That's crazy.
Come and get it.
2 2/3, so not quite, unfortunately, for the narrative. Oh man. I do got to shout out Underdog. And also just the fact that I might be the greatest of all fucking time to ever do this.
Show me the money.
I mean, what a fucking stamp to put on my season. My pick'ems hit every fucking day. Every fucking day. And Dallas, the whole season was like, oh, that's cute. That's cute. Nice little 3-player pick'em. That's cute. You know what I did for Game 7? I said, fuck it. Double it.
Yeah.
Double it. We went Shohei, 1.5 total bases higher. Vladdy, 1.5 total bases higher. Bo Bichette, 1.5 total bases higher. Will Smith, 1.5 total bases higher. Addison Barger, 0.5 total bases higher. Ernie Clement, 0.5 total bases higher. You know what happened? That shit cashed. It cashed. So shout out to everyone who rode with my pick'ems this year. You guys are probably rich as fuck. You're probably listening to this podcast on your private island right now. So shout out to you guys. Enjoy the crystal on me. Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play fantasy sports when you just take my picks. Playing their pick'em game is as simple as taking my picks. See you in 2026. Make sure you sign up with the promo code Jared. That's JARED to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a special pick on Underdog. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code Jared. Yeah, man. Miguel Rojas, that home run in the 9th inning. Dude had a 544 OPS in the series at the time. Obviously not known for swinging a big stick. Last home run came in mid-September for him. And he had announced that this is my last hurrah. I'm done after this. And it could have potentially been the last plate appearance of his big league career. Dude socks a home run to tie the game in the 9th inning. off the closer, Hoffman, who I feel like I said it on the stream. Vulnerable. I said it like I'll pull the receipts and text me. I was texting my buddy and I was like, it just feels like he's due. Like this was kind of his thing. Like he hasn't given up a homer all postseason. He had a stretch down the end there, 10 straight games where, he didn't allow a home run and he's been great. But like that's his MO, is giving up the long ball. And it was the fucking 9th inning to close out the World Series in Game 7. And he gives up a home run to a dude that doesn't have any pop. No disrespect, Miggy Rowe. Oh my God. Like I feel like sometimes in life, I don't have a ton of empathy, but for whatever reason, when it comes to baseball, I have too much empathy. I feel the hurt and the pain of Toronto Blue Jays fans right now too much. I don't know. Like I would feel numb right now. It's 1 a.m. Call it 25 minutes after the final out, and I would feel numb.
You're right there. You're right there. Everything was lined up to be so much different. You were 2 outs away.
Shout out to Will Smith. I mean, that was a pretty badass home run. Shout out to Max Muncy. That'll be the unsung swing of the night, to make it a 1-run game late. Comes up. I think that was his 3rd hit of the ball game at the time. Max Muncy with a big swing. The Dodgers, like even like, it sucks because Bo Bichette hits that 3-run tank off of Shohei, I believe in the 4th inning. And it felt like right then and there, the Blue Jays had won it. It was just like, all right, it's early. It's a 3-run bomb. It's off of Shohei Ohtani. They're going to keep stacking runs here. And the game just didn't play out that way. And I was like, I don't think 3 is going to be enough. It's the Dodgers. They chipped away. They 3 straight solo home runs, started with Muncy, then Miggy Rowe, and then Will Smith. And I mean, you even get down to, the final inning there, and the Jays were threatening to at least tie it. You get the Vladdy double, you bunt them over. You got Vladdy at 3rd with 1 out?
Mm-hmm.
There were just so many fucking opportunities for Toronto in this, series, in this game specifically, for them to not break it open, but I guess not have it be so tight. Give yourself some breathing room. They robbed themselves of breathing room over and over and over again in Game 7.
Yeah, well, it's just with moments to capitalize, opportunities to capitalize, and you don't. It's a story as old as time. I don't think we need to bear that out again. We know how that goes. But like there were moments that you had to separate, and you didn't. And that I think when you zoom out, we talked about the opportunities to bounce back and just never being able to finish it. It played out again. But there's no bigger. I mean, that last at bat to walk Barger, like to like, hey, you know what? Do we ever want to put the winning run on base? No, not ideal. But in that spot, if you're not going to be able to work all the way back, fine. And for Kirk, puts the ball in play. You take your chances of it being at somebody, and what happens? You roll it up, you're world champions.
Jay, hey, what do you got?
Well, I mean, I feel like you guys have covered the sad part enough. Like, I feel like that sentiment has been, it sucks for the Jays. I do feel like it's worth marveling at the Dodgers a little bit here. I mean, it is the first time since I was in like high school, like the beginning of high school, that a team went back to back. It's been a very, very long time. It's extremely hard to do in Major League Baseball. I think it's I am a little bit sad too that the Jays lost. That I found myself feeling that way at the end. I don't think it was anticlimactic. I think it was just very sudden in a way, because you get the feeling that that sort of game is going to kind of go on forever, and you're going to keep getting these moments, and then Will Smith hits the homer, and then it's the double play, and then the game is over. And it's hard not to feel anticlimactic when all of these game sevens that we are incredibly blessed with, and I think this has a case as one of the greatest, if not the greatest baseball games that I've ever watched. We all know what the short list there is, but this is on it without a question for me. And, I think part of what made it so special and so watchable is just, the idea that, like, I don't know, it was just that, like, it was there for the taking so many times, and then it was taken away, and then it was back, and then it was it wasn't an extra inning game, or it wasn't a close baseball game where nothing was happening each inning. It was like something incredibly dramatic was being provided every single half inning, to the point where you really felt like it was a roller coaster ride to end an entire postseason and World Series that had felt like roller coaster rides individually. And it just, I really do feel like it is heartbreaking, but it's anticlimactic because it ended on the road, and the road team won, rather. And that keeps happening. That's 5 straight where the World Series game 7s have been won by the road team, and you don't get that incredible, exuberant celebration with the crowd getting to chime in as well. So, I don't know. Like, in some ways, it feels like we saw the best of the Dodgers from a rotation standpoint, from a Yamamoto standpoint, from individual moments from Ohtani and stuff like that. And yet, I'm also left with the feeling that, in a lot of ways, this wasn't even their best foot forward, and they still won the World Series in a way, and they needed a lot of breaks to achieve that, but at the end they still did. And they'll enter next season as the favorites to win the World Series as well, with a chance to go for 3 straight. It's just incredible. It's incredible. It's investing in the product. They didn't win because of the money. Like, that's something I'm going to have no patience for this offseason, because if a team is a breath away from winning the World Series, as the Toronto Blue Jays were multiple times, then they are capable of winning the World Series and could have or should have won it. That the Dodgers spent more money is besides the definition of besides the fact at that point, particularly given who, in some ways, who played incredibly key roles for the Dodgers down the stretch or in the game, as you guys mentioned with Rojas specifically being a bit player. But I don't know. I'm kind of rambling at this point, but it's just, it is one of the greatest games I've ever watched, for sure.
Well, and this game, much like this entire series, had moments, and you kind of touched on it, moments where you thought, okay, is this over? To,
yeah,
oh man, is this over the other way? And then there's just that little pushback. So it almost felt like one of those, like, in stadium dot races or whatever, on the video board, where, like, it's just back, it's forth, it's back, it's forth. They're like, I don't know.
Like, I don't, that's a great comparison. And I just, like, I think I tweeted something about momentum earlier in the game, and I'm sure there are other examples, but I can't recall offhand a series where what felt like the lesson or the essence coming off of a game mattered less once we started the next game than this series. It was like momentum didn't mean fucking dick in this series. It was Jays come out. First game was 11-4 Blue Jays, right? And then the very next game, it was Yamamoto's first complete game. And it's just like, I'm not going to rehash everything, but the point is that it just didn't feel like anything that what happened in one game transferred to the next game in terms of hangover emotionally or physically. And it just, it was just an incredible ride as a somewhat neutral viewer.
Yeah. I mean, you can even go back before the World Series started with the momentum stuff. And the Dodgers swept the NLCS. The Jays 1-7 in the ALCS. And the Dodgers became the first team to win in that scenario. No team had won the World Series having swept going up against a team coming off of Game 7. So there's that little nugget as well. But yeah, I don't care for the dialogue that's gonna take place all winter now about like the Dodgers actually ruining baseball and like if there's gonna be a lockout. Like, do you actually believe that whether or not a lockout happens in 2027 hung in the balance of tonight's Game 7? Because I don't.
No. And I'm gonna be honest when I say this, and I don't know. Like it's not like we're gatekeepers by any means. But a part of what we do is establishing narratives, analyzing narratives, creating, and going along with and just dissecting. And so I think I don't want to call it a responsibility either, but to pay attention to it, to breathe life to it, to give it attention is doing so, is, even entertaining it. And I hate that it's something that we even might have to do, or whether or not to the extent that I've even decided I really want to engage in it. I know it's part of what we have to do, but I just, because it takes away from either a group, somebody who, however you want to look at it, the investment in winning, the investment in being the best at what you do. It's almost like being upset at the players who throw their hands up at the ball lodged in the wall. Are you mad that they are actually exercising what is well within the rulebook, what is strategically at their disposal, what other teams can absolutely do? You can't be.
Maybe this is a distinction without a difference, but I think you can be mad. But what you can't say is that it's ruining anything, in my opinion, or that they are the cause of the ruining. Because I think it's great that people hate the Dodgers. I think that's the whole point. That's the whole fucking point of a team that's built like this and that spends like this, and that I think in general is good for a sport to have a target like this. But
absolutely,
the investing in the team thing too. That's not drawing a contrast to the Blue Jays, because I think the Blue Jays, for the most part, belong in that conversation as well. We all know at this point that they were fifth in payroll, but they invested one of the largest contracts in baseball history in a guy who just contributed what is inarguably one of the greatest offensive postseasons postseasons in general in the history of the game, in Vlad Jr. And presumably will continue to invest in the product. So I think it's a dual lesson, and whether anybody takes anything from it or not, but that just lends, it's even more disingenuous to try and use this as a wedge in a labor battle. I think when I think that, I guess it cuts both ways, because, both of these teams are spending, both of them were in the World Series. Does that give the little guy a chance? I would say that there were little guys in the NLCS, and if that's the case, then they by default have a chance in the World Series.
Well, and here's my thing with it is, Jay, and I don't care what publication you want to go with, whether it's the Forbes list, whether it's whomever's pumping your list du jour out. But when you get a list of what every baseball owner / ownership groups are worth, you have a rough idea of this individual value that is in charge of this asset, this entity, right? So, I mean, for the most part, I want to call it like the definite number, but we're in a ballpark, no pun intended, of what these people are worth, which means we have an idea of what they could potentially be spending on their product to any given extent, right? We know what their ballpark looks like, so we can do the rough math on what we could expect based on comparable ballparks and their revenue, based on market size, and blah, 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 blah. So with all that being said, is the argument of, well, we can't afford to spend like that is that really an argument you can stand on outside of comparing yourselves to maybe a 3 to 5 other franchises? Which means, hey, is this what we're saying? With like these teams just have a monopoly on the sport and nobody can win because these teams perform a certain way? You guys have the value and have the ability to spin in this manner. You just choose not to. Like, isn't that an argument that can be made?
I think I know we'll talk about this a lot this offseason, but I think my short response to that would be that I think it's okay to frame it as most teams are incapable of spending at the level that the Dodgers do. What I think is disingenuous is the idea that they are incapable or are inhibited in some way from spending at a level above where they're currently at. And I think that's where the lying and the stuff gets to be a little bit frustrating. And I think that I personally, I don't want a sport where everybody is forced to spend the same amount. That's not what I'm interested in. I want there to be a connection between the investment in the team and how good your team can possibly be, or the likelihood that they are good in a given year. And that's a personal preference, I guess, but that's one that I feel pretty strongly about.
Yeah, no. And when we talk about this stuff, like I talk about, because I've already mentally moved on from the Dodgers being in the same stratosphere as any other team in baseball. So when I talk about this stuff, I don't ever expect other teams to spend comparably to what the Dodgers do, because they simply don't have the resources or resource in Ohtani to generate what other teams do. He is a one-man marketing show. He would single-handedly make every other franchise richer. Their stock instantly rises, instantly, overnight, the minute he becomes part of your group. And the Dodgers have that for eternity. So I don't ever expect anybody to be able to compete like that. That being said, there is an expectation, if we know what you are worth, for you to be able to spin in a way that does give you a chance to compete, because we've seen it happen before.
We paused this Game 7 reaction pod to talk about Shopify and the Baseball is Dead merch store. That will be on Shopify when we launch that. The Section 10 merch store, that is on Shopify. It's the easiest place for e-commerce, the easiest place. We've always used it, but now that we're relaunching the Baseball is Dead merch store, very excited to be using Shopify. Finding the right tool that not only helps you, but simplifies everything. It's been a very big game changer for us, for millions of businesses. That tool is Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the United States, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started. I wouldn't say we're just getting started, but it is imperative that we were going to use Shopify for once we relaunched the merch stores. We were kind of just in like a new phase where it was like, all right, we're going to redo the websites, but what's the back end going to look like? There is no other acceptable answer other than Shopify. Get started with your own design studio with hundreds of ready-to-use templates. Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store to match your brand style, accelerate your content creation. Shopify is packed with a helpful AI tool that writes product descriptions, page headlines, and even enhance your product photography. Get the word out that you have a marketing team behind you. Easily create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into cash with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/dead. That's DEAD. Go to shopify.com/dead. Shopify.com/dead. Back to the podcast. This is a completely separate note, but I did want to shout out Vladdy, because not just in this World Series, the entire postseason, he was everything that the Blue Jays hoped he would be and so much more. even like, going into like the regular season that he had, very good, very good. But he went into God mode once October came around. Like he became something that best case scenario, like whatever best case scenario for Vladdy was in your head, he was better than that. All the way down to the double in the 11th inning, like his last at bat for the Blue Jays in this World Series after the entire postseason that he had was an extra base hit to be standing ultimately 90 feet away to be the tying run of Game 7 in extra innings. That's what Vladdy did. The shot of him at the end, like in the dugout, he was in tears, and I'm not trying to like kick the Jays while they're down, but like they were in last place last year. They were 2 outs away from winning the World Series this year. It's not for certain. Like we know the Dodgers are going to be back. Like we don't know if they're going to be in the World Series, but I think we can safely place them into the postseason bracket in 2026. Can we do that with Toronto? Like, I'm not saying that this is their only shot. Vladdy's going to be there for a very long time. I don't think it's going to be Vladdy's only shot at this, but for this window, Bo's a free agent. By the way, breaking news as of us hopping on the pod, Scherzer still wants to pitch. So that was not his swan song. Obviously separate note from talking about like this Toronto Blue Jays core, but Bo is going to be a free agent. I don't know that he's coming back, like who knows what happens there. So I don't want to say like, man, this was, it would kill me knowing how much this means to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., like the emotions that he wore throughout this entire postseason, including what was it? Like he got like the final out of like the 7th inning at first base. I think they were 6 outs away, and like he was celebrating like they had won it. Like, he was obviously very excited, to the tears in the dugout after. It would kill me if this was his one shot and that's what happened.
Jared, I think the idea, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. putting the offense, putting the Blue Jays on his back and doing everything he possibly could to carry this team is what a lot of people are going to, I hope, take away from this World Series. Because there is no, I mean, there are, but as far as what the Blue Jays have experienced, I don't know that there's a bigger example of one man putting the entire team on his back throughout the entire postseason and saying, let's roll. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr. did that. Listen to this. You want to look at his entire postseason line? You talked about it the other day. Like you asked, what's he hitting, right? What's he hitting? Over 400. Well, he snuck just under the 400 mark, Jared. But his postseason line looks like this. He had 397 with a 494 on base, 795 slug, 1289 OPS. That's in 73 at bats, 29 hits, 15 RBIs, 8 homers. 8. He did everything you would need him to do. He walked 14 times. He punched out 7 times. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was the threat, capitalized on being the threat, and you said it, man. He breathed every bit of last life he could into this team to the very last swing he had. So he didn't tie it. He couldn't have won it, but damn it, he gave his team every chance to do so. And with the storyline being him wanting to give the ring to his father because he feels like it would bring the whole, I guess, the family full circle. Like, thank you for this opportunity. And I don't know that he even needs that, man. Like, I'm sorry. I don't believe he doesn't need to give that to his father. He doesn't need to prove that he is a championship type caliber player. With a performance like this, you know what he is capable of. You know what he brings to the table. And I think it's perspective, because it was just a couple years ago, we were talking about this earlier, where it was Vladimir Guerrero Jr. having to come to terms with, I've got to make some changes. I've got to make some adjustments if I'm going to become the player that people expect me to become. And he did that. He put that player that we all hoped we were going to see emerge, he put that player on full display this entire postseason. And I hope people truly appreciate that. I
will not take away anything. Like, it's obviously one of the greatest, but But Jared's question ultimately was, is this going to be his best chance? And I think if you're being real but cold-hearted about it, yes, there's a very real chance this was his best chance. It is by almost definition the best chance that he's ever going to have. And there have been plenty of instances where it doesn't mean it's over. It doesn't mean it's over. He's got a long career. He's 26 years old. It certainly could happen again, but it's almost certainly never going to be in front of him like it was in this situation. And unfortunately, we've seen players in the primes of their careers who were utter magicians with the bats have their opportunities in the World Series in the primes and never make it back again. Like in 2012, did it feel like Miguel Cabrera, that was his only shot? I feel like, I mean, I know he won in 03, but like in that era of his game, was that his only he never made it back to the postseason after 2014. Like these things, if you are not on the Yankees, if you are not on the current Dodgers, like these things can get fickle. Like you can go extended periods of time without making the postseason. And even when you do, I'm not trying to say it's not going to happen, but like there is almost no way that he's going to be in a position where he's in a World Series Game 7 again. That's unlikely.
Well, that's okay. World Series Game 7 is
or just a chance to win the World Series. Like that's like,
well, that's where I gotta say because if you're talking about the Toronto Blue Jays being one of the handful of teams that are willing to spend even conversationally near what the Dodgers are doing, then doesn't that inherently give them a sustainable window to compete? And if you have Vlad a part of your nucleus, aren't you more willing to continually support that?
I see what you're saying, Dallas, but how quickly we forget how many high level free agents did not want to take the Blue Jays money, and that Vlad was drafted, developed,
they
played out
for
his 6 years of service and has an affinity for the country of Canada. And they paid him a fuck ton of money. I don't know. Maybe he gets 500, but like I don't know that he gets 500 if he hits free agency. So I don't know. I guess the point of, is that his best shot? I don't know how you have a better shot. 2 outs away from winning a World Series against the Dodgers in Game 7. I mean,
it's not a commentary on how good he'll be moving forward. He could be the best postseason performer in baseball history moving forward for the rest of his career. But you just don't get those sorts of opportunities. And what I was really more trying to get at is just what Jared was saying. There's just so much fluidity with the roster now. And like they may be able to reinvest some of that money, but a lot of these guys were key contributors.
Not a spring chicken.
Right. Springer is almost certainly not. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, and let's get crazy. Who's to say the Blue Jays don't find themselves in a position to say, you know what, we're a lot closer to this window being closed than we thought. And maybe moving Vlad is just what we need to do to restart or reignite this organization. And Vlad finds himself in a place that's willing to spend whatever they need to at that point in his contract to take him on. You said it, your words, not mine.
Dallas just wanted to be extra inflammatory before we wrapped up the pod by saying they'll trade Vlad Jr.
I didn't say that. Those are your guys' words, not mine.
No, you just said it. Did you already forget?
I did not. I haven't rally ripped in 35 minutes.
Yep. I don't know, man.
I mean, where they go into next season in the AL East, I think we don't have to get into that now, but I think that is already an interesting question. And we're talking about the team that just lost in heartbreaking fashion to the Dodgers. And I'm not ready to tell you that they will enter next season as the favorites in their own division. Are you?
No.
I'm not. No.
Not as we stand right now.
I think that, no. And that's what I'm talking about is like, that's how fickle this is. That's how difficult it is to navigate. And while it feels great right now, well, it feels shitty, but their situation feels great right now. Like they may be the third most likely team in their own division to make the postseason, according to the odds makers next year. They said go blow to the odds makers this year, so maybe they do the same thing. But
I hate to tie it back to the Dodgers, but with them having voids that they're going to need to fill, you're interested in to see what route they go. Is there somebody looming developmentally that they feel that they can turn loose for 100 plus 130 or so innings in a rotation to get a crack at it? Is there, I don't know, is there somebody that they've got pointed in or pinpointed in the trade market?
We'll have all offseason to discuss. Yeah, we'll be back next week on our offseason schedule, which is Mondays and Thursdays for anyone that was curious about the offseason podcast schedule. Mondays and Thursdays. But yeah, I don't know. I guess kind of just to like sum it up, it wasn't the World Series winner that I wanted. I'm not devastated by it. I think within 48 hours, I will probably feel nothing about this World Series at all. Like in the moment, I'm heavily invested, and as I said before, very much wanted the Blue Jays to get it done. I think it's just mostly I've been a Vladdy fan since he was in Double A. Like I've told this story a number of times, but I got the like MLB TV, like the minor leagues version of MLB TV. I got that to watch Vladdy when he was with the Fisher Cats. So, because I kept hearing about, this dude's like hitting home runs across the street. There's a hotel on the other side of the fence in left field for the Fisher Cats. I was like, all right. I mean, obviously I was a big fan of his dad in his playing days. And I was like, oh, I got to check this kid out. And just, I've been following his career ever since. Obviously been a big fan. Remember making a t-shirt for him in the Barstool days when he was a rookie. And yeah, I think it would have been cool. Obviously wanted him here in Boston. If he reached free agency, that would have been the top priority. I think it would have been the organization's top priority too. But yeah, and just knowing again, like how much it meant to him and his family to get this thing done. Whereas we're talking, ring number 4 for Mookie, or perhaps the only chance that you have at bringing a ring to your family for Vladdy Jr. It's like, I don't know. It's not that I always have a tendency to root for the underdog, but in this instance, I just had far more reasons to root for to the Blue Jays here. But I mean, this is Glasnow's. Was Glasnow on the team last year?
Yes.
With
he did not pitch in the World Series.
Got it. Yeah. So I mean, like, happy for Glasnow. I think it's cool that Mookie is now building this, trophy case. This, like, he's going to be chasing Jeter. Like, that's cool. People probably think that I'm pissed about that or whatever. Like, I've accepted a long time ago that Mookie will be known as a Dodger more than he was ever known as a Red Sox. Like, I've had to swallow that pill a long time ago. So it's having that conversation with him on this very show, this past spring training, about chasing rings and, getting in the same territory as Derek Jeter. Is that a goal? Is that something you think about? And he was very candid in saying yes. Like that's where I want to go. I want to win all those fucking rings. So yeah, it's not all bad. It's just, I don't know. I feel like being a neutral fan and having emotions is a very bizarre experience. Like, I don't know how people can love baseball, be a fan of the game, be a 162 guy or girl or gay, and be someone that has, like, you feel nothing. You watch that World Series and you don't feel anything at all. Like, how? I don't know.
That's part of, I was just going to say, that's part of the romance of baseball is because you know how hard the game is to play. You appreciate the finer things and the little things about it. And as a fan, you start to live and die with every pitch throughout the postseason, and all the feel good behind the game itself is something that helps, I think, keep your attention. But when it all comes down to what the game is offering in the moment, it has you on the edge of your seat. If you're, I don't know, like if you're tuned in, I don't know, it just talks to you. I couldn't imagine not. I don't know. It's it's the greatest game on earth, man. And to watch it unfold the way that this series did, dude. The back and forth. That's what I love about it. Is it wasn't just a dominant affair one way or the other.
No. It was a hell of a series. I mean, even if we weren't streaming, I think I probably would have felt like that was one of the most entertaining World Series I've ever watched.
Yeah.
We got some bang for our buck, and yeah, just didn't quite get the ending that I was hoping for. But again, it's still a story,
Yeah,
and it's going to be a story. It's going to be a story throughout the entire offseason. We're going to be talking about the fucking Dodgers, and if they go out and make other moves that piss people off, it's going to be like, Jesus Christ, like, aren't you guys going to just like, when are you ever going to take your foot off the gas? I don't know that they ever are. Don't know if they ever are. Jay, hey, do you have any delicious, tasty, season-ending, World Series-ending nugs for us?
The only pitchers in MLB history to throw as many innings as Yamamoto this postseason, with a lower ERA than he had. John Smoltz in 96, Mad Bum in 2014, Oral Hershiser in 88, and Schilling in 01. As I said before, 5 wins in the postseason, with 3 of those wins coming in the World Series in a single postseason all time. That's just Yamamoto this year and Randy Johnson in 01. If you look at just 5 wins in a single postseason all time, Yamamoto, Evaldi in 23, Strasburg in 19, K-Rod in 02, and Randy in 01. Pitchers with 3 wins in a World Series in the expansion era, so since 1961, Yamamoto in 25, Randy Johnson in 01, Mickey Lolich in 1968, and Bob Gibson in 67. As you well know, the Dodgers are the first team to repeat as World Series champions since the 99-00 or 98-00, depending on how you want to look at it, Yankees, and the first NL team to do so since the Reds from 75-76. So we have never in our lives seen an NL team repeat as World Series champions. We just did it together. Vlad Jr., he finishes with 29 hits in the postseason. That is tied with Randy Arozarena for the second most ever, behind only Ernie Clement. So by default, Ernie Clement, the all-time leader in most hits in a single postseason. He is also the leader in most multi-hit games in a single postseason with 10. There had been a 5-way tie at 9. He's now the all-time leader in that distinction. Will Smith is the first player with a go-ahead homer in the extra innings of a World Series Game 7 ever. Max Muncy is the 9th player with 3 or more hits, with at least one of those hits being a homer in a World Series Game 7, and the first since Dexter Fowler in 2016. Miguel Rojas is the first player to hit a game-tying homer in the 9th inning or later of a winner-take-all World Series game. Springer and Clement each had 3 hits for the Blue Jays tonight in the losing effort. They became the 5th pair of teammates with 3 or more hits in a Game 7 of the World Series. 16 Cubs, 85 Royals, 79 Pirates, and the 1912 New York Giants are the only other examples. Max Muncy's homer earlier in the game was the 5th homer, with the team down 2 runs in Game 7 of the World Series, joining Rendon in 19, Rajai Davis in 16, Bobby Bowe in 97, and Yogi Berra in 1960. And Shohei Ohtani finishes the World Series with 3 homers and 9 walks. He becomes the 4th player to have 3 or more homers and 9 or more walks in a World Series, joining Barry Bonds in 02, Willie Randolph in 81, and Babe Ruth in 1926.
Who?
Babe Ruth.
George.
And of course, the most important note, Louis Varland. Yep, he appeared in 15 games, the most ever by any pitcher in a single postseason. Bo Bichette's homer is the first go-ahead homer with a 3-run homer with the score tied in Game 7 of the World Series. And that's it.
Yeah, that sucks for Bo.
Yep.
He did say, usually we don't get this with players that are walking into free agency, but I think he said something like, I never wanted to leave, or I don't want to leave, or something like that.
Yep,
so
I saw that
instead, usually we get we'll see what happens. Talk to my agent. Here's my Boris hat. So we'll see what happens with Bo, his free agency. Scherzer with, his career. He wants to continue playing. That'll be interesting to see what that looks like in 2026. But yeah. Dallas, do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, man. I want to start with thanking Jake and the Back Row Boys.
Yeah.
You guys have been absolutely outstanding, man. Just overachievers all season long. All season long. 2K in his bag, on the whim, on the fly. Just an absolute fucking magician. The turnaround time on the sounds, on the clips, you can't ask for better help. You can't ask for more invested guys that love the game as much as we do, that help bring the product to life. I mean, Corey with the graphics, there's so many different reasons
Mikey.
why, Mikey, I mean, there's so many different reasons why that we have as much fun as we do, and it looks half as good as it does. And it's all because of what these guys do to keep this thing firing. They're true spark plugs. Jay, hey, I want to give you your flowers, man. All season long, just an absolute masterclass on contextualizing the season, from individual performances to team performances to where the game is going, where it's come from, why it looks the way it does, and why it smells and tastes a little different, and what that means, and the perspective of baseball on a different level than I think a lot of people will ever have available to them. And we get spoiled with that each and every day. I know what it's like to sit next to a baseball savant every single day of my life at work with the A's. And I get to go to work before I go and see that guy with another savant, just like you, dude. And that's a true treat that I know I appreciate. And I hope our fans do too. And Jared, the effort that you put in, not only with the 10, but with us, it's a world that is at times divided. You're torn in a lot of different directions, and you always make sure that our listeners and the fans are treated with the absolute best that you can bring on any given day. And that is not lost on me, somebody who knows what it's like to have to grind through an entire season and off season, where it's not just a year, it's a lifestyle, man. And you have done a fabulous job of taking charge and leading both ships. It's been a true pleasure to watch, and it's been a true pleasure to be a part of. And our fans and our listeners, man, seriously, to be able to wake up and just talk shit and enjoy the game the way that we get to day in and day out, and know that you guys are the ones who power this machine. We're spoiled, and not a minute of that is lost on me. So thank you for an incredible fucking year. And each and every one of you guys are a big part of why I get to wake up and put a smile on my face and talk baseball.
Hell yeah. Jay, you got any final thoughts?
I just can't believe Dallas summoned that after the
After how much weed he's
that was
tonight.
like perfectly stated. I have basically nothing to add other than it was very kind what you said about me. I would I reiterate, or I echo everything you said about the back row team. Of course, I will talk to them in private about that, since I don't want to just repeat what you said. But the community, it always gets me, man. Like, I never ever take that part for granted. Like, whether we're, when we popped over to the Section 10 the Red Sox watch party, and like, people were even asking for autographs afterwards. And to this sort of playback situation where, like, I know the Discord, I know the interactions on social media, I know what it's like when we meet people in person, and yet there was something almost breathtaking about the playback experience and the community that was, building there. And, you never know how those things are going to go. And instead of starting in hot and petering out in the community, just kind of being these hardcore people at the end, it was all of those people and more at the end. We just kept growing, and the community felt richer and more dynamic. And, I will absolutely miss that now that the postseason's over. And I'm very excited about, last thing I'll say, I'm very excited about the future of continuing to do this with you guys. I have never felt more optimistic about that. And I'm just very blessed to get to spend so much time with you guys, the two of you specifically, talking ball, and, being baseball buds. So looking forward to the future.
Yeah. I mean, everything that you guys said sums it up. I mean, this was a year that started in spring training, doing 2 tours of a spring training run, getting interviews and making content in Florida and Arizona. and hitting the All-Star game, and
Can't believe that was the same season.
Yeah,
Spring training.
like
Jesus Christ.
yeah, just I would say the best year for BID ever. Like starting 9 combined, I feel like it's just every year we're shaping what we want it to be, and the tone and the voice of the brand, I think, is exactly where it needs to be, where we've wanted it to be. And for someone like Dallas, who is a major league broadcaster, who is doing, I don't know, 155 fucking games, whatever it is, traveling, not seeing his family, and still getting up and whatever time zone he's in. I mean, like, I'm fucking exhausted during the season doing this, and I get to sleep in my own bed most nights, and he's traveling with a big league ball club and calling games for 3+ hours, and then waking up and bullshitting 3 times a week with us on the podcast. That's a grind. And to then be on the streams in the very beginning, it's 10+ hours. It's every day. It's like, hey, season's over. Now you can take a rest. It's like, actually, you're about to put in more work than you have all year. So yeah, that goes for both of you.
Fun,
like
man.
the streams and then the podcasts afterwards. It's a lot. But everyone was pulling on the same rope in the same direction. Again, shout out the back row boys, because it's their long streams. Jake cutting clips for us so that we can promote the streams. You got 2K making the soundboard what it is, and they're making sure the stream goes as well as it possibly can. And then 2K on the pods for the World Series after the streams, and just passing the ball. Like, our team is a well-oiled machine, and I've never been happier in my career to be a part of a team that I know is just plug and play. Like, I don't have to worry. Like, I said this at the end of the Red Sox season when we wrapped up Section 10 for the year, but I'll say it again for this audience. Like, these are guys that I don't have to tap for anything. Like Corey with the graphics, it's like you think of it and it's what you have in your head, but better. Like Jake with the podcast, I know, hey, like this has to come out, or like do it. Like he knows what to do and he does it. All our guys are like that. Mikey Eamon, one of the best videographers and editors for video that I've ever worked with in my entire career. Which is why I plucked him from where we worked together prior to that. Did I freeze?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, my screen just went crazy. Anyways, but yeah, we all know 2K is the best, and it's like with Jay Hay, I always try to hammer home the point that, like, name another podcast that has an in-house researcher who's also talented enough to be on camera in front of a microphone, but is also a researcher that worked for the premier platform in your vertical. Yeah, I mean, we're very, very lucky for both shows, that we have the perfect blend of people that are, in my opinion, the best in the world at what they do. So I'm thankful for everyone's contributions this year. I think it was our best year. And to piggyback off of what Jay Hay was saying about like the community on the streams, I think we're building something really special there too. Like I know that there's like podcast only people that don't want to hear that. But and it's not like, well, there'll never be fewer podcasts. But with that stream community, I feel like, again, like we kind of had to have that conversation with ourselves this year. Like, we're not just baseball podcasters, we're baseball content creators. That means podcast, that means video, that means streaming, that means whatever we have to do, social media. And I think with the stream that we started late, like we didn't really start it until September. But once we got going, it was just a community that kept on building. And I'm really excited to see where that goes in 2026 as well. So thank you to the audience. You guys, as I said at the end of the stream, you guys set the tone for us. I think it goes a long way when your audience knows your sense of humor. Like goes a long way when you're all in on the joke because you're all caught up on the pods, the streams. You don't miss anything, and it's just a really, really special community to be a part of. I'm very fortunate that I get to be a part of it, and B have all my friends with me to build it and partake in it at the same time. So thank you guys. Very much appreciate it. And I guess we'll see you on Monday for the first off-season pod.
We gone, but not for long.